Good morning. So I am out and about. I'm in Marylebone because you guys have asked me to do another designer edit, and I looked back through what everyone requested and the majority was M&M. So they have got a new shop, a kind of flagship store that's just opened here. I haven't been to it before. And take you guys along with me, then I will go home and find some patterns to match some of the stuff in the shop. So I better get going. I'm just outside. You can see nice springy colours in the window. I will see how much filming I can do. I cannot promise. Sometimes they're a bit funny. So, but if not, well, hopefully I will see you in the changing room and I will report back. Yeah, I'm excited to go and see what's inside. So these are the first pair of trousers. I really like them, a sort of barrel leg. They've got little kind of darts at the knees, and they've got interesting details at the seam at the side. I like the pocket as well. I've got this jacket on now and I love it. It's like a little kind of cropped workwear jacket. Really great big pockets. I actually like the sleeve is quite wide on it as well. And yeah, it's a really nice shape. They've got this in lots of different fabrics as well. So yeah, this one gets a thumbs up from me. So these basically feel like secret pyjamas, quite a kind of wide cropped shirt, and then these are elasticated. They've got nice big pockets. They're super comfortable. They're actually made in sort of like a double gauze, so they're really, these feel like really nice to wear. So I think I did quite well in there actually. I was quite pleased. I got to try on a few things. I didn't get to film in the shop. There were so many people in there, and also a lot of the there's a lot of staff that worked in there, so I only did a tiny bit of filming. But yeah, I think I've got some good ideas for stuff, so I'm going to go home now and yeah, do my homework, and I will see you back at home. I'm back from town. I have done my homework, and I'm not going to lie, that was probably the most tricky one I've done, but in a good way. I really enjoyed it. It was challenging. The thing about M&M, and I was so pleased I went into the shop, was that you can see all the beautiful fabrics. They have such lovely quality fabrics. The inside of the garments are really beautifully finished. I don't know about you guys, I always look at the inside of the garments when I'm looking in shops, and they're just beautifully finished. And it was difficult because there were loads of little like extra seams and things that you sometimes can't see in the photography of them. But yeah, I really loved it. And obviously M&M, the price point is that it's an expensive brand, so you would expect a kind of higher level of I guess make, and I definitely felt that. So I've got some really good things to talk to you about, so I'm going to get started. So first up, we've got the shirt dress. They do a variant of this every year. It's quite boxy. I loved it. I love a shirt dress, but I really like the proportions of this. That kind of wider sleeve I think is great. Anyway, I found a really great pattern. I think it's almost perfect. There is one little tweak that you will need to make, but it's not a hard one. The Style Arc Palmer, which was, I mean, almost, if you look at them side by side, they're almost the same. The only thing that is missing is those kind of big statement patch pockets on the chest area, which are very easy to add. I also loved like little details, the change direction of the stripe on the pocket, also the stripe direction on the tie as well was different to the dress, which I think was really lovely. And I love that little turn up detail, which again the Palmer has got. So if you wanted to recreate that, I feel like that is almost a kind of absolute, like, what's the word? It's a spitting image. I thought that was a really good start. So next up was this great cord. I loved this. So it's a very sweet little kind of, this sort of red top. They actually had it in a few different colorways, which obviously means they're quite kind of confident in the saleability of it. This lovely little kind of crop top, and then underneath was a kind of strappy dress. And I thought this was such a great idea for when you're on holiday and things like, you know, when you want to kind of cover up your shoulders, if you know, you're getting sunburn, or if you're somewhere and it's getting a bit cooler, you can put that on. I was thinking actually for a wedding this would be great. If anyone's going to a wedding abroad, this would be a great option, and you can kind of pull the top off and do dancing at the end. So underneath you can see is this like kind of little v-neck kind of strappy dress. So I think I did pretty well actually. I was quite pleased with this. So for the top, the Sew House 7 Revel, which is their new pattern, I mean is almost the same. I was really chuffed. The proportions are the same. It's got that little grown on sleeve. You can see the neckline's almost the same. So if you wanted to recreate that, that would definitely be your top pattern. And then for the dress, I chose the True Bias Zoe dress. This is not perfect because the one from M&M's got gathering around the waistline, but it's got a very similar silhouette, and if you wanted to add a kind of gathered panel, that would be a really simple add-on. But I love this pattern. If you haven't seen it before, they'd look really great together. So I was very pleased with that one, and because they had them in so many different, they had them in like 3 or 4 different colours, so I thought, yeah, this is obviously something they think is going to be good for summer. Next up we had this lovely, I thought this would be a great kind of summery dress. It has a dropped waist. I hope you can see because it's in a navy, it's quite, sometimes you kind of miss the detail. So it zips up the front and it's got this kind of low dropped waist with a gathered panel, which I thought was interesting. And they had quite a few sort of dropped waist dresses, so I definitely wanted to find a pattern that sort of ticked that box. I thought that the Fibre Mood Lennox dress would work really well for this shape. The main difference is you can see that it is pleated around the bottom. You could totally change that if you wanted to and make it into gathered, but I actually quite like the pleats. And then it's got, it's buttoned, it's not zipped, but pretty similar, and I feel like it's got the same sort of feel. Again, the sleeves are a little bit more boxy, but it has a sort of same kind of, yeah, I guess the same sort of feel. So I was quite pleased with that one. Then we had this beautiful dress. I'm thinking sort of, because they do really lovely occasion wear at M&M, and I loved this dress. It's beautiful. It's got quite a lot of detail. It's hard, again, because it's in a print to see what's going on, but they were kind of little kind of pin tucks around the chest area, that lovely deep V with buttons, and yeah, it was just really lovely. I think I did pretty well with this actually. The New Look 6718 was really close. It had the same sort of shaped sleeve, it had that button detail down the front. Potentially it's a little bit more fitted than the M&M one, but I thought it definitely had the same essence. If you made that in a kind of paisley like the M&M one, no one would know the difference. Then we move into trousers. They always do really amazing trousers. I continuously ogle on their website at everything, all their tailoring, because I love it. So this really wide leg trouser was something that again is also been on the high street. It's a very popular shape for summer. The thing that I really liked about this is it had a double pleat at the front, and the pleat is stitched down partly, and that was the detail that I kind of really focused on, and that nice kind of wide leg, also pockets. I was actually really pleased. I think the Atelier dupe Blake is almost perfect for this. They have made it the trouser slightly shorter, so just extend it a little bit so that it's kind of full length, because their kind of sample is sitting sort of slightly cropped. But apart from that, I thought it was pretty bang on actually. It had those double pleats, they're stitched down a little bit at the top. Then I saw this sort of barrel leg jean that again, they'd made this in probably like 4 or 5 different colours. I love it. I absolutely love it. The thing that you might not notice on the picture is that they've got a panel down the side leg of the trouser, which I was really looking for. And then it's also got a little like seam detail around the back, kind of mid-leg, which I thought was really interesting. I couldn't find spot on, but I thought that the Helen's Closet Faulkner trouser was almost bang on. It's got lovely seam details that run down the side of the trouser. It's got big pockets as well on the side, which is slightly different, but in terms of the silhouette, it's absolutely perfect. So if you are looking to recreate something like that, definitely check out their pattern, because it's such a lovely, and it's a new one from them as well. Then we're moving into skirt territory. I think this skirt style is so great. I like a lot of these. Some of the patterns I find I think are going to be really easy for me to find. I was like, this is such a classic shape. Of course there is going to be something. But it was actually quite tricky. So this button down front, the main detail was the pockets. I'm sorry, 1 second, I've got to need a dog. Yes, I know. Sorry, this is what happens several points during the day. Right, you sit there. Yeah, so with these big pockets on the front and button down and sitting, I guess it kind of coming midi length. Yeah, I was sure there were hundreds of these types of patterns. No, there was not. The only one that I found was the Burda 6252, which I will say is the absolute spit for this, so it's perfect. But let me know, have I missed one? Because I was feeling like there should be an indie one. I don't know. Anyway, I couldn't find it, but this one is absolutely perfect. Then this style, which I definitely spoke about in my trends post, this long skirt with a panel around, the kind of a fitted panel around the top, and then this sort of gathered the rest of the kind of skirt. Sorry, I've described that appallingly, but from the picture, I hope you know what I mean. That sort of fitted panel at the top. I thought I did really well with this. So this is patterns from the pattern rooms, and I think it's perfect. It's got that fitted panel. You can see that their pattern actually is panelled at the top, so it's not one piece, it's different, which is better actually, because then you can make the fit really good. And then again, the rest of it is almost spot on. So I was really pleased with that pattern finder. Then we move on to jackets. They do a lovely jacket at M&M, so it was really nice. I tried on a bit of tailoring. Yeah, it was a really fun one. So the first one I got was this workwear jacket. Again, this was made in quite a lot of different colorways. I think it's actually designed to go with that pair of trousers that I showed you, the red stripy ones, because they all are in sort of matching fabric. I mean, I would love to have the whole lot. Pattern wise, I think I did pretty well actually. The Fibre Mood Madhu jacket, which is one actually that was not on my radar at all. So I was quite, it's always quite nice when you discover something that I sort of had another one in mind, but this one I think actually works really well. It's got the big pockets on the front. You'd probably want to move them down a little bit and make them a little bit bigger. But other than that, I thought it was pretty spot on. It's cropped, which is the same as the M&M one, slightly cropped. You could change the proportion and make it a little bit longer if you wanted to, but I thought that one would be a really good sort of base. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that. The other jacket I got from them was this really beautiful, and they had a few iterations of this little kind of Chanel style jacket. The thing that I really liked about it is it had this sort of double pocket feature, which I thought was really fun. The pattern that I found, the Bella Loves Freddie, which I thought was perfect. I really like that. It was pretty good. The only other detail is you might want to add little kind of faux pockets on the chest, which is the same as the M&M one. But other than that, this one was almost perfect. So I was very, very pleased with that hunt. Now we move into jumpsuits, and there were quite a lot of jumpsuit options, and I liked this because some of them are really, really dressy. So this one I'm showing you now, this sort of beautiful crimson, it feels a bit like that dress that I showed you earlier on with the V and the little buttons, but made into kind of big, wide sort of palazzo trousers, which I think was super glam. I didn't find a perfect pattern for this, but I did find something that I felt like had the same sort of feel. The So Love Spring jumpsuit, which is perfect, or spring, however you want to say it. It felt quite similar. It's got, that kind of V-neck. It doesn't have the buttons, but it's got the nice wide legs. So if you wanted to recreate that, that one would definitely be a good starting point. Then this one they had made in quite a few different colours, a really lovely sort of tailored jumpsuit, and I thought it was really chic to have it made in that sort of boucle. It's not a wool, but it just felt like really expensive when you touched it. It was just beautiful fabric. So I spent quite a long time looking, and actually the kind of one of the big details was it had a zip up the front. So I thought that the closet core patterns blanket would work really well for this. Things that you would need to do, you'd want to take all the pockets off, because that's the thing that I think is so nice about the Me and M one. It's got the zip up the front. The belt, you might want to change it, rather than having a tie, you make a little buckle. But I felt like that was a really good starting point, and you could also really easily add that detail down the front, little like pin tuck down the front of the leg, that would be like a really easy detail to add. So I felt like that would be a nice starting point. Then last but not least, in the jumpsuit department, we have got this amazing denim one, and I loved it. It felt very 70s and it was really fun, and I was like, oh, I just have to find that one because it's just great. And anyway, so again, zip up the front. So I think I did quite well for this. The McCall 7980. This has got quite a lot of the details. You can see the pockets are the same, the zip up the front. You can see it's also princess seam. The main sort of thing that you might want to do is add a bit of flare into the bottom of it and make it full length. That's the kind of main difference. But the sleeves are very similar. The neckline was pretty similar. So yeah, I was quite pleased with that as my last sort of jumpsuit offering. And then last but not least, we've got the blouse department. And this was a department that I probably struggled with the most, because all of their blouses had so many kind of little details, and I spent ages and ages trying to find kind of the perfect pattern for each one. And I just didn't get there. So what I'm going to show you is a selection of the sort of style of tops, and then I'm going to show you some really lovely blouse patterns that felt very much within the realms of it, but not spitting dead matches. So please forgive me at the end. I don't know, I just couldn't get there, and I can't even tell you how many hours I spent like hunting, and I was like, you just have to, you're not going to get the perfect matches. So yeah, right, patterns. So I've got here these sort of 5 very beautiful, lots of creams, really lovely and drapey. So the patterns that I have picked, which I feel like all tick the boxes, the Liesl & Co Pastano blouse. This was really great. There were lots of the blouses with that top panel made in sort of a broderie on glaze, and then the bottom made in something kind of very plain. So you can add quite a lot of detailing into this style of pattern. So next up is the Pattern Scout Bridie, and actually I didn't realise that this pattern had this beautiful pin tuck variation. Well, I obviously did at some point, but I'd forgotten, and I love it. So it feels like a classic sort of tuxedo blouse. You can see that it's got this little grandad collar, button down the front. Such a lovely pattern, and loads of the Me and M blouses had kind of pin tuck detailing, so I thought that would be a really good option. Another variation is the Fibre Mood Sienna. I felt like proportionally, with that kind of puff sleeve and a big cuff, and you could then add in lots of different detailing. You could have lovely lace fabrics, and it would feel quite kind of Me and M. And it's sitting quite cropped as well, so I felt like that would be a great option. The Coralie Bijoson Erica blouse, which everyone absolutely loves anyway, but for that sort of slightly more relaxed, proper blousey blouse, this one I thought worked really well. Buttons down the front. It's got this nice panel in it with lots of gathering to make it feel like really beautiful and roomy. And then last but not least, we've got the Silver Saga Amelie blouse, which I think is great. And if you want to add a little bit of, I really love the collar on this. It adds kind of a little bit of ruffle, a little bit of a detail, but it's not kind of OTT. And there's also variation if you don't like the ruffle, where you just have gathering into the neckline, which would also work really well. So yeah, so I feel like those kind of tick the box. If I put them next to each other, I think you can see the kind of similarities, and I hope I did all right on the blouse department. That was the bit that kind of got me a little bit. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. That is it from me. If there is another brand that you'd like me to do, let me know down below, because when I was picking this last time, I looked back to all the comments that everyone had said. So we kind of go on the brand depending on what everyone wants. So yeah, let me know what you'd like for our next one at some point. Yes, and we'll be back soon with another video. Have a lovely rest of your weekend. Bye.